Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. How are you doing today? Welcome to a new episode of today's Best Stock Picks. We're actually going to focus on a bunch of stocks that you've probably heard of. Number one, we're going to talk about Apple earnings and how it's trading right now and setting up the next trade for Apple. Number two, we're going to talk about Starbucks. We're going to talk about Bitcoin and the levels that it's hitting, and specifically two Bitcoin mining stocks that we're trading. We're going to talk about another stock that is probably one of my top setups for the day. I know that can be a little bit challenging to give because market conditions change between now and the market opening, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. We're also going to talk about the FOMC announcement today and a really important big part of trading that is in my trading plan that I want to just walk you through a little bit. So stick around. I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so obviously I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. We just have to make sure we mention that everything we do is for educational purposes. It's up to you to make the final decision. It's up to you to speak to, if you have one, a financial advisor. So let's get right into it. And actually, I want to start out we're going to jump right into Apple stock, and we're going to talk about the levels. We're going to talk about how I'm setting up the trade in two pieces. We're going to talk about Apple earnings and whether I'm buying it today after earnings. So we're going to jump right over into the chart, and we're going to go straight into it. Let me pull it up on the chart for you there. So we've actively been trading Apple. We actually had a swing trade in Apple from basically about a week ago, and we covered the trade yesterday after earnings. So we bought Apple stock about a week prior to earnings. We were looking for a head start, on the trade. And generally, I'll hold those trades when earnings comes out if I have a profitable trade. We did not have a profitable trade. We actually had a profitable trade. And we were looking for it to punch through 140 and give us a little bit more of a distance between, kind of a cushion between our entry, the current price, and then earnings fluctuations, so that if earnings came out great, we'd have a great head start on a trade. I was hoping for it to punch above 150 and look to add to a position there. But if it doesn't, that cushion gives us an opportunity to make a decision. Do we want to get out prior to earnings if the cushion's not big enough, or do we want to hold it through earnings, let the wiggles and jiggles happen, and then eventually see if it rallies back up? In this particular case, it did not. So we ended up booking, I think, $1.50 or $2, something like that, on the swing trade for last week. We had a bigger profit, but this is really the thing I want to talk about. You need to decide as a trader, and yeah, I'm talking to you. You need to decide as a trader what type of profits you're chasing. I know that sounds like you might be limiting what you could possibly make as a trader. But think about this. When you open a business, which trading is a business, and I hope that you're treating it like a business, you need to know what type of business you want to run. Do you want to sell hamburgers and make a whole bunch of flips with hamburgers, which there's nothing wrong with that. My family owned a deli way back in the day. We owned a pizza place back in the day. Oh, God, I feel for anybody who's in retail right now. And that's how you make your money? Or do you make your money on caterings, where you just have some smaller business that pays the bills, but you know that you're creating your personal wealth and the growth of the business on caterings? So we have flipping egg sandwiches and hamburgers and pizzas, and you got to do that a whole bunch of times, and you build everything in your business around that. Or you build everything around your business behind big caterings. Maybe you do 1 or 2 caterings a week, and instead of a whole bunch of I almost said trades. Instead of a whole bunch of small transactions, you make them on bigger hits. That's what you need to decide as a trader. Flipping hamburgers, pizza, and egg sandwiches like I did back in the day, that would be more called a momentum trader. You're putting together the business for cash flow. You don't have a lot of upside, a lot of downside. You're just grinding it out. And I shouldn't say a lot of upside. There's a lot of upside in momentum trading. I take that back. I started out as a momentum trader way back in the day in 2000. They're both revenue sources. I guess that's really what I'm going to get across. I'm going to tie that into how we're looking at Apple right now. And it has to do with holding Apple into earnings and the kind of cushion that we're talking about. It's a very big deal. So you need to know whether or not you're going to allow drawdowns in your trade in exchange for bigger moves. You need to know if you're going to get out as soon as it pulls back against you, and you're going to look for a new entry right into that trade. We have a couple of members of our community inside the boot camp that are excellent at this, especially one of our members called Fred Grove. He's really, really good on the shorter time frames and timing the entry and getting out into momentum, timing the entry and getting out into momentum. And neither one is right or wrong, but what I want to do is inspire you to put in your trading plan which kind of trader you want to be. You don't want stocks to pull back against you. You get out as soon as it slows down. You're okay with it pulling back a little bit in exchange for much bigger gains. So you have to mentally be okay with drawdowns or unrealized profits. So maybe a $1,500 trade pulls back to 300 in exchange for the next move higher if it goes higher. So how does that relate to Apple, right? How does that relate to Apple? It relates to Apple with the trade management and the cushion that we were looking for prior to earnings. So we had a little bit of a cushion, but we couldn't get through this 150 level. So we kept the share size to a reasonable level. We didn't size up on the trade yet because now you can see 150 was really where it was struggling. We actually kept saying that once it gets through 150, if it gets through 150, it should see 160 easy. And we were hoping for the earnings catalyst to inspire that. But you can see down in the corner over here, Apple earnings came out. It's down to $1.50 right now. So on the way back down, we put in a stop loss above our entry, which is now considered a trailing stop loss. We got out of the trade. So if you look at Apple on the longer term picture now, and if we draw this extended trend line, which I really like to do because I love to work the charts, you can see that Apple actually has some room to go to the downside. Let me actually get this one off of here. In exchange for a much bigger move. So only one of two things can end up happening in Apple right now. It breaks this level and becomes a new move to the downside because earnings, which, by the way, for a company as big as Apple, to still have an increase in year-over-year numbers, it's just staggering. They are such, and when I say innovative, I'm not even talking necessarily about the products, just the business and the business model that they're constantly coming up with ways to make to keep the legacy of the company going. If you're a business owner and you're watching this right now, it's impressive. It's absolutely impressive. You think about it as an entrepreneur and how tough it is to come up with new stuff all the time, especially in the position that they're in. Very much like Disney, quite honestly. It's impressive. It's really impressive. So we're out of Apple right now, and the new trade that we're looking for is and I'm going to set this up in two pieces. It's down right now. Apple did not report bad earnings. It's reacting to what is expected for the guidance going forward. So I'm looking to put on another trade where I'm looking for Apple to open lower, which it looks like it's going to right now, push lower, find support, what we call a bullish U-turn by the end of today, which means that it closes higher after trading lower, and then look for a new entry, first piece, and then look for it to get back above 150 and beyond. If it trades lower, put that first piece on, and it doesn't rally, no harm, no foul, because we already said prior to the trade, we're going to put the trade on in two pieces. I'm going to hop on over to StarBucks, which has just been a beast over the last, let's say, month, and now heading into yesterday's earnings. And you can see it was actually set up as one of my best trade ideas coming into the day, provided that earnings didn't implode the stock. And you can see over here, down $2.94. Heading into the day, obviously super early. We're around 3.5 hours before the market opens today. So I still like this one as well. It's filling the gap right down to this area over here, right around 122.50 or so. So right in that area, 122.50, 122 is where I'm looking for buyers to come back in, step back in, absorb the earnings, and then look for a spot to get long again. So very similar situation with two strong stocks trading at or near all-time highs, both of them, and looking for a spot to bid on a move lower. That's the key. So we're going to shift over into another trade that I actually said that this is going to be one of the top trades that I'm going to be watching today, which is NUE. NUE, if you were watching us in the community, if you've been a regular subscriber to this channel, which I really hope you are, I hope I'm providing value for you, please do me a favor and click down and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. It would tell me that I'm providing value to you. Hit the alert button so you know when new videos come out. And also smash the like button, because that will also tell me the amount of people that like what we're doing. I work really hard to make sure that I give you actionable stuff. And again, if you have any questions about anything we're talking about, definitely leave a comment below. I get back to everybody as soon as I can. Okay. So NUE, if you're with us in this window over here, and this is actually a big part of trading. If you're an active trader, whether you're an active day trader, an active swing trader, maybe a little bit long position trader, our job is to find the ideas, which I'll walk you through that right now. Our job is to find the ideas. I want to just pull that up for you just to show you. Our job is to look at this every day. Our job is to find where the smart money is hiding and keep putting that money to work, keep putting that money to work. So we're actually noticing now, right now, basic materials and energy stocks are starting to float to the top. And this is why we watch multiple timeframes. We watch what happened yesterday, we watch what happened over the last week, and we watch what happened over the last month. And we're looking for clues. Like you can see here, we're not really trading utilities that much, but you can, that's the perfect picture of what we're looking for. So what does it have to do with NUE and some of the other stocks that we're watching? Well, it has everything to do with it, because unlike investors who are putting their money to work and letting it sit out there and looking for that cumulative gain over time, we are looking to find an idea, put our money to work, find an idea, put our money to work. So we kind of, in our heads, doesn't always work this way, but in our heads, we're constantly looking for, okay, that stock moved higher, and then it slowed down. And as we just talked about, momentum versus trend trading, you take that off the table. And a trend could be 2 hours, it could be 2 days, it could be a month. Everybody's got different time frames, which again, think about flipping sandwiches versus caterings. You need to know what kind of business and decide what kind of business that you have. So when you work your way over into sector rotation, we are constantly following the order flow. We're not guessing which stocks are on fire right now. We're doing this work every day. I provide this for our community every day. And then we dig a little bit deeper and have our game plan meetings every day. So I want to inspire you, something that we talked about recently in a call, to raise your level of the distinctions that you make in how many pieces to the puzzle of the market you can build for the argument for choosing to accept risk. That's a lot of words, right? Essentially what it means is the deeper you go into creating a game plan, instead of just running the garbage scan that you probably found on the top of the front page, go deeper. Go into the sectors, go into the industry groups, find the hot industry groups and the hot sectors, and then look to see the chart patterns. Once you do that, you will start to see consistency. You will start to see losing less, provided you have the right position sizing, providing you have the right entry prices. Again, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, which is why I'd strongly encourage you to learn more about our community. You can click the link below. I'd love to see you in the boot camp. It's only 30 days. So anyway, so what does that have to do with NUE? Essentially, what that means with NUE is that we traded it like heck over here, and then still traded over here. It didn't quite give us the same juice as it did over here, but now it's kind of floating over here and resting right at a level. So I have tomorrow for our community, we're looking at it to trade over $98, and then we're looking for a run up to that 110 level. So that's a new trade that we're looking to put on right now. So we also want to finish up. We want to jump our way over into Bitcoin. Obviously, the Bitcoin is now back above 40,000. That is a big, big bounce for that. It's really important because these levels have been what Bitcoin traders have been waiting for. So how does that translate into trading ideas? Well, we generally, in our community, we're trading primarily two, and I'll give Aldo the credit for this one for really pointing out which ones we should be watching. We are usually watching Mara every day, which you can see is actually up 7% again today. And we are watching Riot. So these are the two Bitcoin mining stocks that we watch every day. Both of them actually had a big gap 2 days ago, pulled back yesterday, trading higher again, both of them over 7%. So they're going to be in our watch list again today. Now, because they're all still dependent on Bitcoin, which looks like it's about to push through that 40,000 level, again, it's resting there. It needs to punch through. We're going to be actively trading them, but I don't have a longer term trade in here right now. These are going to be more day to day until they can both get beyond their own resistance levels right now. Now, one of the biggest things I want to talk about, which is really not talked about that often, which is critically important, and this is well known among people who have traded with me. I have two very distinct situations where I don't trade or trade very, very rarely, because over the last 21 years, I found that on these particular days, I get my head beat in because I don't think they're obvious. I don't feel like I have an edge. So I just protect my capital, maybe lower my position size where I'll trade the mornings, but the afternoons in general, I don't feel like I have an edge because the market basically does this and I just stay away. So today happens to be one of those situations, which is the FOMC announcement, the FOMC policy announcement, which comes out at 2 o'clock Eastern time today. The other one is options expiration, especially triple witching or quadruple witching. I don't feel like I have an edge on those days. Over the years, based on my own P&L, I just don't feel like I could look at stocks and say, wow, I really can't wait to be buying stocks right now because it's super obvious. The smart money's diving in there, and I can't wait to buy after those announcements, or I can't wait to buy that day that options expire. I don't have an edge. So what I'm telling you is I'll probably trade today. I'll probably trade a little bit lighter unless certain situations like the Bitcoin mining stocks we just talked about, and maybe some of the breakouts that we just discussed. However, over time, I find that in the afternoons on those kind of days, FOMC days and options expiration days, I don't find I have a clear edge unless the market gets exactly what I expected and the market just blasts off to the upside. Then, of course, I'll capitalize on that. So what I want to challenge you to do, think about what kind of business you want to run as a trader. Are you flipping pizza, egg sandwiches, and cheeseburgers and spending money, getting it back, spending money, getting it back, and getting a nice quick ROI, and just your activity level is much higher because you don't want to see trades move against you that much? Or are you opening a catering trading business and looking for the bigger trades, and the smaller back and forth really doesn't matter to you? And go over your P&L. Don't lie to yourself. Go over your P&L and see which situations you make the most money. Do more of that and protect your precious capital on those situations like I just described where it can be a little bit tougher. There's nothing wrong with not trading all the time. Trade when you have an edge and just stay away from the markets when you don't. You'll be happy you did. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. And I will speak to you soon. Have an awesome day today.